important things about hanging geometric patterns is, do you cut the corners? In order to have geometric patterns in the corners and making them look right, the corner has to be pretty conforming to 90 degrees. And it can tolerate, for the most part, in my experience, about 5% error. You can stretch a lot of wall coverings. Now, we have triangles in here. And so, if we cut our corners at the 90, we could have our triangles or circles off. In obtuse angles, I'm resigned to cutting all of them. Obtuse meaning greater than 90, less than 180 degrees. Something like this. Always cut them. The paper will never stay in the corner. But when you have triangles in the corner or circles, you always want to incorporate the assistance of the homeowner. Because however it looks afterwards, you don't want to take on the responsibility for either cutting it or not having cut it. So if you've never done it, let me share with you some of the considerations that you can talk it over with your customer. I'm hanging a very fine product. Now it doesn't say Colgan Son, but I think Colgan Son made it and just sold it without putting their name on it. Now if you bring in the viewers, I want to show them how I join this pattern. Now, my helper made a mistake because I didn't tell him. So I made the mistake. This should not be glued. So this should be free moving so that it doesn't encumber my ability to get the paper moved into the corner when I need it. You see, by gluing this side, when I push on here, it's resisting here because it's glued. And what's it going to do? It's going to pull away at my seam. So for you good folks at home, when you have a product that's paced the wall, which a lot of them are getting to these days, hanging a lot of products paste the wall. It has its goods and its bads. So if you're coming around a corner, don't paste this side yet, so that you're not encumbered by this resisting you getting this side into position. Little mistake on my part, but I share with you so you don't make the mistakes. If you notice, I point out a lot of things on my videos, and I have to tell you, it's mistakes that I've made in the past. So I feel good helping you to avoid the things that I've done. So far, it's obeying. Let's bring them down here. Okay, now you'll see, oh man, it's acting perfect. It's like you go to the doctor, the pain goes away. Okay, I wanted to show them how this pattern gets thrown off. Well, look at how beautifully it's working out. Now, before the last sheet, the pattern was off by almost 3/16, but not quite. So we were struggling to get it into place, push it up here, pull this one down, which I have videoed in the past. But it's working out perfectly. You see how gluing this isn't the greatest idea? You see how it's kind of stuck here? And therefore, okay, bring them down here. So my problem is showing. So at least I can learn by this mistake. You see how it's pulling at the seam? So, all right, let's put it in place again. Look how it's pulling at the seam. So if I didn't have this pasted, it would just move easily. So that's all. You just want to be aware of your seam. Okay, so we're off a bit. Just bring them down, and my viewers will know what kind of fanatic I am. Let's bring them in closer. It's just slightly off because when you go into that corner, the corner is uneven. It's slightly uneven. So it's pulling the wallpaper a little bit more here, and down here it's pushing it out a bit. You see, with a corner that's not really straight, it's very hard to keep very specific geometric patterns in place. Okay? It's easy if it's a flower or if it's different material. This is not vinyl, but if we had vinyl, no worries. No worries at all. We can stretch it. But this is not stretchable wallpaper. This is a very stubborn, porous, quality shell. The con is that it doesn't stretch much. And if you overwork the seams, now for those of you who have hung Colgan some, you know the product. It's like a dollar bill. It's like a dollar bill, okay? You can tear it like a dollar bill, but it has this strength because there are fibers in there that keep it together. Best way I can describe it. So it's no friend of the imperfect corner, okay? Now, what I wanted to make this video about was, do I cut my corner with a geometric pattern? If you do and it looks terrible, you're in trouble. If you don't and it looks terrible, you're in trouble. So what I'm doing is I'm working out to see if the unevenness in the corner will manifest itself in irremediable buckles. So let's work it out. So far, so good. Now watch what I'm doing. You do not see me rubbing this up and down. You see me pushing it in, pulling out. If I do this, I'm going to void the color. And one more. Show them that how my mistake pulled away at my seam again because we glued the adjacent wall. So don't let that mistake happen to you. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Push it over. And when you're trying to join seams, don't do it like this at a T across the seam. Do it like that. Why? Because when you come across the seam right here, it's only going to push it right up to the seam. It won't make it overlap. If you go like this, you will force this paper over this one. So we do it like this. You understand? On a 45-degree angle, like that. Not like this, because if you do it like this, you will push this paper over this one. So you do this, and this pressure, when it reaches the seam, it just pushes it up against there. And you see, you're not putting 8 inches against the seam. You're only putting 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, you know. You're putting a lot less pressure on the seam. And therefore, it's just enough to get it to join. Now, if you want to be nice to this seam here, this is what you would do. You would push this paper toward the corner. You see? So that you're not pulling against this toward the corner. You're pushing this toward the corner and then this way. Okay, now, are we buckling? Anybody? Does anybody see it? Okay, so keep your eye on that seam. Okay, I push it in, I pull away from my seam. It's a pain. I mean, you want to be a professional paper installer. It's better than driving trucks. And you get to meet a lot of nice people. Today, a lady called me and she said, "Do you remove wallpaper?" And I said, "Of course." She said, "I try to remove it myself." And I said, "Ma'am, I offer counseling for couples who try to remove their own wallpaper if you're interested for a nominal fee." And she started thinking. I said, "I'm only joking." I mean, some people can't take a joke. I said, no, nothing. Okay, please look through the camera. Make sure that you're not looking over it. Now, we're 6 feet, 7 feet in the air, and look, we got a buckle. I was getting happy that we didn't have a buckle, but I'm having a buckle. Okay, so the buckle is going up now. Can you see that through your camera? How this buckle is here? You can see that? Okay, cool. So we want to be nice to that buckle, and we want to approach it from the bottom. Wow, we pushed it up. Now, for those veterans who are watching this, they know what's going to happen over here, and they're thinking of it, and they know what's going to happen is my next sheet is going to be very tough to match up, because I'm pushing this buckle upward. And so if you were to look very closely on whether or not this is perfectly level, it's not, because of this. So you have to decide, where do you want the manifestation of the lack of straightness to be? Do you want it in a corner? Do you want it on the edge? A lot of people will say, you don't know what you're doing. My paper's not straight. They just don't know. So you're the paper hanger. You have to decide. Okay, so we have a legitimate buckle. I pushed it down. Uh-oh. Okay, so now we have a true wrinkle. Okay, this is a legitimate wrinkle. So, and it's right here. So here's how I'm going to fix it. I'm going to pull down at an angle. I'm going to push up at an angle. All the way around, all quadrants this way. I want to share this lack of straightness in every direction. You don't want to just push it in one, because you'll have a massive wrinkle. You want to share it that way, this way, down. You see? All right? Okay, so now, okay, folks, the question is, do you want to cut your corner? Okay? I want to say yes, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut it. Okay, can anybody tell me why I want to cut my corner? The only connecting pieces in my corner are snowflakes. By the way, look at this. We have 3/16 of that snowflake onto this wall, and we have less of it up here. So we can see by the pattern that we're off, okay? There's another wrinkle, another reason to cut it. So here's the thing. Customers don't like rounded edges. They don't. It doesn't look good. It looks cheap. You know, like this wallpaper is expensive. So I'm going to cut it. Because sometimes your camera goes off. Okay, so where am I going to cut my wallpaper? Am I going to cut this side of my smoother or this side? Well, if I cut it here, I'm going to cut too much of the wallpaper off. Remember, the rule is that you want this paper overlapping by 1/8 of an inch onto this one. That's the rule, because this is the wall you see when you walk into the bathroom. Okay. Look at all the tension relieved. Look at the space that is now revealed. That is 1/8 of an inch thick. I can tell you why you're seeing that, because your corner isn't straight. And you're not seeing that much here because the corner's straighter here. So you have to really think it over. If you don't cut your corner and it looks bad, it's like the old saying, you deed if you do and you deed if you don't, right? Look at that, that's a mess. We'll get rid of that. That's a big wrinkle. Yeah, we had to cut this corner. There was no chance of doing it any other way. All right. Okay. Now, and as a paper installer, you have to explain to your customer why you did it, because you're cutting their paper. They may say, hey, it doesn't match or whatever. You have to have the answer. And usually the answer is going to be, it would have looked a lot worse if I didn't cut it. But if you're dealing with very stubborn customers, Mr. So-and-so, come on in. Let me talk to you about what I'm about to do. Because when you've been installing paper, sometimes you're dealing with people who they just don't know. They don't know. They don't understand. And it's funny because as soon as you tell them, it's no longer a problem. The only time you get a problem is when you don't help, when you don't talk to them about it. It's almost like as if they deserve to know, so you always want to let them know when something is not going to look right, so you have to anticipate that. Oh, jeez. That is very stubborn. Okay, I'm going to lift this up. Can they see that buckle in there? You see all this wrinkle? Can they see that? Mm-hmm. Okay, good, because I want them to see. That I could never get that out had I not cut this paper. Never, never, never. It would have been impossible, okay? Now it's out. Now, I mean, trust me. Please trust me. This looks gorgeous. I'm very happy with having cut it. Look at that, beautiful. So I'm just doing the video so you realize, don't worry, you have to cut it sometimes, okay? A lot of my viewers are professional wallpaper installers who are teaching themselves basically how to hang paper. I had the benefit of having gone to Colgan University for my wallpaper training, and I spent about the last 10 years with the president of Colgan University, and he's a great guy, great teacher. Okay, so that's what you do. My viewers didn't tell me about that. don't like that. See, you can't just, you have to be careful. Okay. Okay, so some of our wall compound is lifting, but we'll just clean that up. We have plenty of water. I got it. Just keep looking through your camera. All right. Please show them our seam starting from the bottom all the way up. Beautiful. So I decided to show you the lesson I was trying to show you on the other side. And that is, if you only glue one side first, rather than both sides, you'll be working with a wallpaper that's untethered, or you'll be in a situation whereby you will not be impeded because of the glue attached to here, sticking it down as you're trying to move it. Look how much easier it is. Look at that. And then if you got to move it over, you just lift it up. You see, if this is stuck in place, we got problems. Oh, jeez. Now, as I do this, I do want to tell my viewers that I appreciate you telling me I sound like Christopher Walken, but you're telling me about 20 to 25 times a day, and some of you are saying it more than once. So I just want you to know, for the record, I understand that I sound like Christopher Walken. So anyway, somebody contacted his people, Christopher Walken, and they reached out to me because of everybody on my channel who said I sound like him. And so, because I have a comedy background, they asked me if I wanted to appear on Saturday Night Live imitating Christopher Walken. So I said, I'm a wallpaper hanger. And they said, that's okay. You can go back to that on Monday. Because I thought they were offering me a job. So anyway, I turned it down. Now. Do you see how easy it makes it if this is not taped? If this is not glued? Do you see now? I'm gonna push this in the corner. Is it pulling away from my seam? No, it's gonna save you time and pain. Look at that. See that? Look at how beautiful now. I'm pushing this toward the corner, and I'm stealing a little glue from over here. I'll admit that. I'm pushing that into the corner, just in case my corner is a little dry, and it's not affecting my seam. And that's the whole point of it. Come on, you know wallpaper hanging is very strenuous on the back, so you don't want to keep pulling it off and pulling it over. Now all I gotta do is roll my glue on here and then continue. So that's your tip. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.